Today, we're going to talk about how to wire our pneumatic trainer. And this includes our solenoids, our magnetic reed switches or proc switches, our pressure switches, and our flow switches. Now, the first thing you want to do every time that you're doing any work on this is you do want to shut off the air to it. Now, my trainer is going to look a little different than yours, mainly because this is my video trainer. And normally I am trying to show you things and be able to point at the PLC at the same time. So my PLC is on the front of the trainer. And here's probably a good example why I don't recommend you do this is because it makes wiring it very difficult. So my wiring is going to kind of be laying here at the bottom very messily, whereas your wiring is going to look a lot better probably on the back of it. Now, let's talk about a couple of different solenoids that you will see used on this and how we can use these as a tool to really clean up our wiring and clean up our troubleshooting. So our typical trainer on the back left side of it has two sets of terminal blocks. We have our plus 24 volt and then we have our minus 24 volt. And typically we're putting all our positives on one side, all our negatives on the other side. Now, another thing you can see that can be really advantageous, especially in this situation, is this multi-level terminal block. So in this case, this terminal goes to here, this one goes to here, and this one goes to here. And additionally, we have a jumper here and a jumper here. So now I can make this my minus 24 volt, this my plus 24 volt, and this my solenoid coil. Now, using whichever way you want, in the end, the wiring is the same, but there's a lot of tools out there that can help us clean up our wiring. So we're going to start by wiring our solenoids. And so we have a lot of M8 cables that came with your trainer. Doesn't matter if it's for the magnetic proc switches or for the solenoids, it is the same pin. But that gives us a really standard color code on the other end. Now, in the case of our solenoids, we only need two wires. So we are not going to use our brown wire. Now, I wouldn't cut it yet. I would wait until you're sure that you have it wired correctly before discarding that brown wire. Just fold it back out of the way, maybe put a small wire nut or at least some tape on the other end. And then of your other two wires, you have your blue wires. The blue wires are going to go to your minus 24 volt DC, whether that be on that bottom of a multi-level terminal block or it be on the back side of your trainer, the right-hand side of terminal blocks. That is your minus. Your black wire is going to be your output. Now let's talk about our outputs a little bit. So we're going to make a small modification to them. So if we go to our getting started guide and we look at our wiring diagram, which is on step 2, and then I'm running an RA5069, a Compact GuardLogix. Typically, we are tying up through input 10. That leaves us with 5 inputs left. But if we look at our sequencing, and don't worry, we're going to go through planning the sequence in a later video, we see that we actually need 7 inputs. So we're going to have to discard 2 of our inputs. So we're not going to need them in this video anyway. We're going to discard the wiring to input 9 and input 10 if you have it still wired per your getting started guide. We are going to need button 1 through 4, switch 1 and switch 3 for this exercise. So definitely leave those wired up. And we probably will use some of our lights over here. Now, after that, we have our magnetic proc switches, which we talked about in the previous video, and they do use the same wiring. But in this one's case, we will need all 3 wires. So a proc switch, you do have to send power to, which power includes plus 24 and minus 24, and then you'll get an input from it. So our brown wire will be our plus 24, and our blue wire will be our minus 24. And you can either wire them to the blue on the back, the brown on the middle row, and the input on the top one. Or in the case of our typical terminal blocks, it would be the brown is your left plus 24 volt, and your blue is your right minus 24 volt. Now, next, we're going to have our flow switch, and this has 4 wires coming out of it. We're using 3 of the wires on this. Our brown's going to be our plus 24. Our blue is going to be our minus 24. And then our black is going to be our input, and that is input number 15. And then finally, we have our pressure switch, which is our smaller gray cable, and that's going to our gripper, and it has 2 wires. It has a brown wire and it has a blue wire. Now, since we are using syncing inputs, our brown is going to be our plus, and it's going to go to our plus 24 volt, or in our case, our left set of turbo blocks, and our blue will be our PLC input, and that is going to be input number 13. If you're questioning what syncing and sourcing is, or you're looking at those commons on your PLC and are like, I'm not sure what to do with them, that's where our earlier exercises before the pneumatic trainer are very valuable. So if we go to twcontrols.com and we go to the online courses, and since I'm working in Studio 5000, I will just choose it, but you could choose Connected Components Workbench, RS Logix 500, TIA Portal. They would all be the same. And then we go into the beginning here, and the big thing is we have our wiring enough to get started right here. And so this one right here actually talks through our differences between different types of switches, syncing, sourcing, how to read the wiring diagrams, how to figure out where the commons go, and most importantly, how to troubleshoot it. Because yeah, we're ready to power this up and troubleshoot it now. And yes, we probably will have a couple unplanned learning opportunities, but let's go ahead and power up our trainer and do initial reality check. There's almost no possibility that you don't have a sensor on. In other words, especially the extend and retract, you could easily hit both of those. And so we can look over here on our PLC and just make sure as you're moving it, at least something changes. And then we'll figure out what is right and what is wrong. But we're going to go ahead and create a program in Studio 5000. I'm doing Studio 5000, but Connected Components Workbench, TIA Portal, it's the exact same. Now, if you need help creating your first program, and again, find the lesson guide for your particular trainer. And this is going to go through the basics. And like in this case, my basic bit exercise 1, where we go through most of these, we go through how to create a program, and we even saved a template in it. So this is the template 5069 from that bits program. I'm just going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to make this my pneumatic videos. And then for a quick review, we'll go ahead and open up our controller tags and open up local:1:I. And mainly this is our getting started wiring, except for I just unwired input number 10 and input number 9. And so now I'm going to take and put in what I figured out from my worksheet that I need right here. So just enter these in for inputs 9 through 15. And then let's go down to local:2:O for your outputs. And in this case, we can leave all our outputs as they were. And then we can go and just compare them to what we have here. We're going to start at number 9 and fill in our descriptions for this. Now let's open up our main routine. And yeah, right now it's just an empty program. And the first thing we're going to do is we actually are going to make a test program. So I'm going to right click main program, add new routine. And I am going to call this test. And then in our main routine, make sure you're on your main routine tab, because they'll both look about the same right now. I'm going to go over to my program control category, and I'm going to bring down a JSR. And then I don't need either the input or the return parameter, so I'm just going to right-click, remove parameter, right-click, remove parameter, and I'm going to go to my test routine. And so this is a temporary routine, but we're actually probably going to pop back in and out of it throughout the videos, and this will be really useful for us. And so the first thing, it would be great if I could see these inputs that we just wired up right here. Now, arguably, we should probably put all of them in, because typically you would, but in this case, we're just going to focus on 9 through 15. So I'm going to bring a go look for a 1 down, and then you can find that on our favorites tab. And I'm going to look for 1 at local colon 1 colon I, PT09 data. So I'm just going to copy, paste, 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 paste. Oh, I think I needed 2 more of those. And then we are going to double click on that one, and we're going to make this one 10. We're going to double click on this one. We're going to make it 11. We're going to double click on this one. We're going to make it 12. We're going to double click on this one. We're going to make it 13. We're going to double click, oops. We're going to double click on this one, and we're going to make it 14. Then we're going to double click on this one, and we're going to make this one 15. And notice we have a red X, so it's not going to let us download this program. So it's got to have an output instruction. We got to find something to put on the right-hand side. And if we go back over to that program control, we also have an NOP instruction. And if we right-click that NOP instruction and go to instruction help, then this is a no operation. So it literally does nothing, but it's going to make it where we can look at these in this one spot right here. All right, now we're going to make a little bit of operation just temporarily so that we can test out our output. So let's go ahead and bring a note. So let's go ahead and bring a new rung down, and let's go back to our favorites category. And we're going to bring down a go look for a 1. And we're going to go find local colon 1 colon I, PT00, and data. That is our green button. And we're going to bring an output energized down. And we're going to go grab local colon 2 colon O, PT09 data. So we're going to use the green button to turn on our green solenoid. And now let's copy and paste that 4 times. And we'll go ahead and use output 1 or our yellow button, output 2 for our red button, output 3 for our blue button, and output 4 or switch 1. And that'll really make it easy that we're using a switch on that one. And then the same thing, we'll increment on this side. So we'll go to 10, we'll go to 11, we'll go to 12, and we'll go to 13. So that's all of our outputs there. And then let's go ahead and download this program. Make sure you did put that JSR in that main routine. I'm going to go communications through active. And if you need any help configuring your drivers or not even sure what I mean by when I say go download your program, then check out the description. We have a free course down there, and hit that subscribe button as we put out 1 or 2 videos every week to help you become a better technician. Then we'll click yes to put it back in run mode. And this will give us a nice spot to see all of our inputs and see which outputs we're actually firing. And we're going to take these one at a time. And you're probably going to have some that are on right now. Just pay attention to the very one that you feel should turn on. So local colon 1 colon I PT09.data is my extend switch. So when I press the extend button, which is my green button, first I should see the solenoid extend. That's the most important part. And then we should see the extend come on. So I'm just going to bump it for a second to make sure that we're even in the right one. So, well, and it doesn't work because I forgot to turn my air back on. So turn your air back on. And now I'm just going to give it a slight bump. Okay, so that is definitely my extend. And so now we're going to go and look at that extend switch. And we just want to put blinders on everything else. Mainly when it hits that extend, we want to make sure that turns on. And it did. So we're good there. And so our next one would be our retract. It's supposed to be our yellow button. So I'm just going to press it just very momentarily. Okay, no doubt I've got the right one. And so now I'm going to pay attention to only the retract switch. And I did get a retract. Okay, now next, in our last video, I left mine up. So I'm going to hope that's it, but I'm not even going to look at it as much as right now I need to look at the down. And if I go down here, my down is going to be the blue button. And so I'm going to momentarily press the blue button. Okay, and it did drop down. And so now we will look just at the down switch. I'll finish bringing it down, and we do have that one. And now we can test our up. And for our up solenoid, we have the red button. And I'm only going to pay attention to this. And that does turn on. And finally, we have switch 1 for our gripper. And that is going to be our closed pressure switch. So I'm going to turn switch 1 on. My gripper does close, and I do get a closed pressure switch. Turn switch 1 off, and I do get an open switch. Okay, now if your pressure switch does not work, the first thing to check is the adjuster on it. So there is a small set screw on your pressure switch right here. And if you take a small screwdriver, then you can adjust that to adjust the pressure that it'll actually trip on. We're not going to worry about the flow switch input yet, but you do want to make sure your flow switch is illuminated. And you can even see that if we operate one of our solenoids, we do see that it is in bit feed, changing our value right here. And so that's going to allow us to measure flow. That's going to allow us to measure energy consumption. And then in later videos, we'll talk about how, one, we can justify the cost of reducing air leaks. And yeah, we can find out the ridiculous amount of money that we're wasting on air leaks. Okay, now, if your inputs don't work, like if 0 work, go back to the wiring enough to get started guide. Chances are none of your buttons are working either. Now, if it's a few that are just swapped, then we'll just take your time, work your way through them, and just get them lined up. And our next step is going to be going through what I feel is a very foolproof sequencing exercise of how we can really plan out what we need to do, identify our I/O, come up with a truth table of when we need to do what, and probably, we'll say with 90% accuracy, at least on our first try doing this, have a successful machine sequencing. And I've created this playlist right here that includes that and several other helpful pneumatic videos.